Thank you. I'd like to thank my good friend from Hawaii, Mr. Abercrombie, the chairman of the Air and Land Subcommittee, for his continued professionalism and all the hard work that has taken place behind the scenes to get this bill done. This is not an easy process, and the legislation before us reflects many difficult decisions. Once again, this bill places force protection issues at the top of the priority list. It provides additional funds for the National Guard equipment account and the service's unfunded priority lists. And the changes this bill makes in regards to body armor is long overdue and will provide better protection for our war fighters for years to come. As I said during our oversight hearings and subcommittee markup, there is no doubt that this budget and the decisions that come along with it will fundamentally change the United States Air Force and Army. I see two problems. First, the budget should not drive the strategy. The strategy should be set, then the funding requirements are laid out in the budget that follows. It appears to me that in many cases, funding limitations in the FY 210 budget top line were the sole driver in major policy decisions. The second problem that I see is that instead of openly engaging the legislative branch in policy matters, proposed force structure changes and the shifting of requirements for major weapons platforms, the executive branch has chosen to lock us out of those debates and tie our hands by unveiling sweeping policy changes buried under the guise of a budget request. A case in point is the Joint Cargo Aircraft. I've asked witnesses from the Army, the Air Force, and the Office of the Secretary of Defense. What has changed? Why is this mission being moved out of the Army and solely over to the Air Force when not 4 months ago we received the Quadrennial Roles and Missions Review report that stated that, and I quote, "The option that provided most value to the Joint Force was to assign the C-27J to the Army and Air Force." Close quote. None of them have been able to answer the question, but all of them stated that there was no new study or analysis conducted that countered the existing plan or reduced the JROC approved requirements for 78 joint cargo aircraft. What has happened as a result of all this is that the Congress is now left to debate the puts and takes in the budget when there has been no vetting of the underlying threat assumptions, policy, or strategy. This body, not the executive branch, is charged with a constitutional mandate to raise and support armies and navies. I am extremely troubled that these decisions have been made in a vacuum and appear, at least on the surface, to be informed by nothing other than top-line budget pressures. I want to be clear that my frustration is with the department, not this bill. In fact, given the little information that we have received, I believe our members on both sides of the aisle and our really excellent staff have done an amazing job. As I said on many occasions, the House Armed Services Committee has a long tradition of focusing on those issues that most impact and help our brave men and women in uniform. And I, like all of our members on both sides of the aisle, am very proud to be serving on this committee. Finally, I would like to briefly comment on the Army's future combat system. As we all know, the Secretary of Defense announced his decision to restructure the program and terminate the manned ground vehicles. Our committee has scrutinized the Future Combat System program in a bipartisan manner since 2004. We have consistently had concerns in regard to the survivability of the manned ground vehicles, but we have never questioned the validity of the need for the Army to modernize and replace a combat vehicle fleet that is in excess of 30 years old. The problem I have is that there is still much information we need from OSD so that we can make informed decisions. As a result, we have been forced to make some very difficult decisions that I would prefer to make with more information. Again, on balance, this is a good bill, and I encourage all members to support it. Thank you, and I yield back.